We're following a developing story as we investigate an accusation of sexual misconduct against a local sheriff.
Shots ring out in Columbia. We'll hear from a man who was just a few feet away from what could have been a fatal shot.
Then the medical examiner who took center stage with the George Zimmerman trial has ties to Mid-Missouri, and some are questioning her qualifications. KOMU 8 News First at 5 starts now.
Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News First at 5.
KOMU 8 News has learned the Osage County Sheriff is under investigation, accused of harassment and stalking. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Angie Bailey. A court hearing was to take place today with Sheriff Michael Dixon and his accuser, Bell Police Officer Courtney Mahaney. KOMU 8's Maddie Heidenreich is now in the studio with us to tell us more about it.
All right. A Marys County judge postponed court hearings today between Dixon and his former co-worker in the Bell Police Department. That hearing will now take place at the end of this month. Mahaney contends that Dixon stalked and harassed her. Marys County Sheriff Chris Heitman says his department turned the investigation over to the Missouri State Highway Patrol. Voters elected Dixon a Republican last November.
Those watching the George Zimmerman trial may have seen a familiar face from here in mid-Missouri. Former Boone County medical examiner Valerie Rao is an expert witness in the case. KOMU 8's Chris Lilly is live in the studio with more about the woman who was a controversial figure in mid-Missouri.
Dr. Valerie Rao testified for the prosecution the head injuries Zimmerman suffered were insignificant and not life-threatening. But she appears at the trial with a cloud of controversy in her past. Rao was Boone County medical examiner from 2004 to 2006. The medical school residents at the time complained about Rao's professionalism. They also said she refused to work with them as much as the job demanded, meaning they had trouble passing their exams.
They would not be able to certify them to the American Board of Pathology that they had done the appropriate number of autopsies to be eligible to sit the final board exam in pathology.
Rao also faced criticism in 2003 in Florida. A medical examiner's commission found complaints about her lack of skill in helping with criminal investigations. A report at the time said some of the general areas of dissatisfaction expressed by some of the law enforcement representatives were Dr. Rao's propensity to classify virtually all prison deaths as homicides and a lack of expertise by the office personnel. The report went on to say funeral directors generally complained about the lack of consistency in the manner in which Dr. Rao's office dealt with funeral homes day to day. MU School of Medicine officials refused to comment on Rao's employment here.
Another news, a shooting happened today at the intersection of Garth and Texas Avenue. Police say they found 27 shell casings at the scene from 3 different weapons. KOMU 8's Emily Pottis is at the scene of that shooting with the latest right now.
Police say medical personnel took one male victim to a local hospital, but he had 9 life-threatening injuries. Police say if anyone was near the area during the shooting to call the Columbia Police Department with any new information. Reporting live from Columbia, Emily Pottis, KOMU 8 News.
Attorney General Chris Koster says Missouri may have to resort to using the gas chamber to carry out death sentences as an unintended consequence of the state Supreme Court refusal to set execution dates. Executions have been on hold in Missouri since the state Supreme Court has declined to set those execution dates. Koster says that if the court doesn't change course, the legislature may have to fund alternative execution methods.
The NAACP met last night and decided to host a march on behalf of Brandon Coleman. 25-year-old Coleman was shot and killed on May 19th near Ann Street in Columbia. It's the second meeting the NAACP hosted. The organizers say they want the police to take more action with the investigation. The NAACP is hosting the march because it says it demands an arrest be made.
We are demanding an arrest. We're demanding arrest, and that is that we're going to, that no justice, no peace.
The march begins at noon on August 3rd. It will begin at Broadway near Second Baptist Church and will go to the Boone County Courthouse. Ratliff says if an arrest is made, the march will be canceled.
In international news, a major change is happening in Egypt as its army chief announces President Mohamed Morsi is no longer in control of the country. Fireworks erupted over Tahrir Square after the army suspended the constitution and appointed an interim head of state. Morsi has been replaced with the Chief Justice of Egypt's Supreme Constitutional Court. The military also called for an early presidential election and suspended the Islamist-backed constitution. Morsi has been slapped with a travel ban. Despite all the turmoil, though, Morsi has vowed to stay in office. Also, the U.S. government opposes the end of force feeding at the U.S. military detention center at Guantanamo Bay. A petition was filed on Sunday in behalf of 4 detainees who contend the feedings will interfere with their religious fast during Ramadan. The government says the feedings provide essential nutrition and medical care and do not interfere with the detainees' religious fast. And the latest on the former NSA contractor Edward Snowden. Bolivian President Evo Morales' plane has not left Vienna. It was rerouted over suspicions that Snowden was on board. The rumors that Snowden hitched a ride on the presidential jet triggered a major international air incident when France, Portugal, Italy, and Spain closed their airspace, forcing the pilots to circle aimlessly for 3 hours before finally getting permission to land in Vienna. An impromptu memorial for the Arizona firefighters killed over the weekend, and thousands of people are expected to celebrate the 4th of July as new Americans. KOMU8's Lauren Bale has your look at your First Nation report.
The full Texas State House will vote next week on a bill restricting when, where, and how women may obtain an abortion in the state. Texas Republicans voted early today to move forward with new restrictions after limiting public comment. Republicans had approved the bill last week during a special session, but the vote happened after a midnight deadline and didn't count. Crowds turned out to honor the fallen Arizona firefighters as their vehicles returned to Prescott. It was an impromptu honor for the 19 members of the Granite Mountain Hotshots. The crew was killed on Sunday while battling a wildfire in central Arizona that now covers over 8,000 acres. Those 19 firemen represent about 1/5 of the Prescott Fire Department, making their loss particularly tough for the city. More than 7,800 new citizens are being sworn in across the country and overseas during this Independence Day holiday weekend. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew spoke at a naturalization ceremony held today at the Treasury Department in Washington, D.C. In addition to leading the 30 new citizens in the Pledge of Allegiance, Lew said that as a first-generation American, taking part in the ceremony had a special meaning for him.
Another beautiful mild day here in mid-Missouri. Let's send it over to Rosie for a look at your holiday forecast.
Thanks, Brittany. Up right after the break. Live music, a parade, and carnival games will take a look at how mid-Missourians are kicking off 4th of July celebrations.
And if you're out celebrating the 4th tomorrow and you forget your sunscreen, we'll have some alternatives on how to treat that sunburn.
Plenty of sunshine still out there, that's for sure. There's a look over Columbia Regional Airport. It is 5:08. This is KOMU 8 News First at 5. Coverage you can count on.
Staying right here in Como. Temperatures rising up into the upper 80s. And guys, it's just going to be absolutely fantastic for the holiday weekend. I have a secret geeky wish that we hit a perfect 84 tomorrow because we were 104 last year. I would like to see, shave 20 off and let's deal with that. It's going to be fabulous.
I thought you were trying to work in like the centennial, you know.
No,
something.
We have been a country for X number of years.
She's
that wasn't going to be that mathematical.
Okay.
Now I feel like not geeky enough.
No, it's plenty geeky. Thanks, Rosie. Sure. The 4th of July festivities are in full swing in Jefferson City already.
The annual Salute to America 2-day celebration kicked off this afternoon. KOMU8's Nicole Krasavage is live at that festival. Nicole, tell us what's going on.
I'm right by the Capitol where everything just got started about an hour ago. Families are out celebrating and getting their 4th of July started a day early. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Nicole Krasavage, KOMU8 News.
A major medical breakthrough. Doctors may have stumbled upon the possible cure for the AIDS virus.
Coming up, the latest on 2 patients who doctors say are now HIV-free. In your health news today, game-changing research on a possible cure for the AIDS virus. Doctors at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston have been studying 2 patients who have both AIDS, the AIDS virus, and cancer. The men underwent bone marrow transplant to treat lymphoma, but in the process received bone marrow that was free of HIV. They continued to take their HIV drug cocktail, which researchers say kept the new bone marrow from becoming infected. Now the men are no longer taking the cocktail, and doctors say they've been HIV-free for 3 to 4 years. They're not calling it a cure yet, but say they are very intrigued by the results. And a new study is looking into the side effects of in vitro fertilization treatment for male infertility. A new study from King's London College finds babies born after a type of IVF procedure called ICSI were more likely to have an intellectual disability, especially if they were born preterm. Researchers say out of 30,000 babies studied, all of which were the result of IVF, just more than 200 had some sort of learning disability. They say the risk for one of the disabilities is still very rare. Getting a good night's sleep booster benefit you receive from healthy eating and exercise. Dutch researchers found the risk for heart disease went down among people who combined 4 healthy habits, like a balanced diet, exercise, not smoking, and drinking alcohol in moderation. However, when those people also got at least 7 hours of sleep, their risk for heart problems dropped even more. And the July 4th holiday can include lots of outdoor activities. The fun in the sun can lead to sunburns. Doctors say one of the first things you should do with a burn is apply a cool compress to your skin. Besides water, that compress can also be soaked in cool milk or tea, where lactic acid can help soothe the skin.
Coming up in today's talk, what you had to say about an announcement from Missouri's Attorney General saying the state may have to resort to using the gas chamber to carry out death sentences. That's next.
Coming up tonight, all those people in those big crowds in Egypt, just like that, they've brought down another president. We'll look at what happened and look at the future tonight on Nightly News.
Execution by gas chamber may be an unintentional consequence of the Missouri Supreme Court's decision about a particular type of lethal injection. Here's what you had to say about it. Jean A. Blackwood said, "How about if we just take this opportunity to end the death penalty in Missouri, like most of the civilized world has already done?" Magnus Johansson said, "I think we need to expand the death penalty to include child molesters, rapists, and anybody that has been sentenced to more than 20 years or life in prison. Why should we pay for worthless scum to live behind bars? They've already done enough damage. Why let them continue?" And Casey Bruce said, "The drug is outlawed in a lot of other countries, and there's a massive court decision pending on whether or not it passes the cruel and unusual punishment test because it may cause pain before death."
One of baseball's best is remembered for cutting down batters' dreams. Coming up next, a look at how some of those dreams are remembered. Well, police are investigating a shooting on the north side of Columbia. KOMU8's Emily Potash is at the scene of that shooting near Garthen, Texas. She has some new details for us.
Medical personnel took one male victim to a local hospital, but he has non-life-threatening injuries. Reporting live in Columbia, Emily Potash, KOMU8 News.
Now here's a look at what we're following for KOMU8 News at 6. Now a mid-Missouri town is trying to survive.
And how identification scanners could help local bars cut down on underage drinking.
Yankees closer Mariano Rivera has sent many a batter to the bench over his career, and last night he was given a chair of his own. In Minneapolis last night, the Twins presented the retiring reliever with what they called a chair of broken dreams. It was built with some of the bats that Rivera shattered with his signature cut fastball.
Now, if they made that chair themselves, I'd be truly impressed. Let's talk about what's happening tonight in mid-Missouri. Should be done, though, by the time we get to fireworks.
Fire in the Sky, you two will be there at two different spots. And the highlight of our day is thinking about the eating contest, the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest that's going to be taking place tomorrow. It's important.
It is a really big deal. You're going to want to watch that. Have a good night.
Hi, I'm Mike. If your basement or crawl space is like this,